One more game left in a tumultuous week 3. The injuries are mounting in our fantasy football circles. Hopefully you still are surviving and advancing. We'll talk about some of our first quarter sweats, eliminator sweats, preview the Monday Night Football game, and talk, of course, a little bit about a pretty fun Sunday I had yesterday on DraftKings.com. Here in the Best Ball Basement, myself and Rob Coakley. Let's do it. All right, Rob, it's both good and terrible that we're doing the show a little bit earlier because I was telling you before the show, obviously had a very nice, people saw it on the thumbnail. Sunday, week 3 was good to me. Shout out to Tyler Conklin, I will say. Great cheerleading effort from Tyler Conklin for me on Sunday. But I can't. I'm feeling old. Every single time that there's a nice win, I try to enjoy it. Right. I was shoe shopping right before the show and looking for something to treat myself with, and I treated myself with a couple of cocktails last evening, and it was letting me know today was like, enjoy successes and everything. You should celebrate them, but maybe find an alternative route to celebrate them because I'm old and the body can't hang quite like it used to. And that's also the case for, unfortunately, a lot of our fantasy footballers. CeeDee Lamb, James Conner, Tyrone Tracy. There's the injuries already through 3 weeks are absolutely insane, and that's how I feel today. And a lot of competing emotions on a Monday.
Yeah, you had that huge hit that we're going to talk about yesterday, and meanwhile, I have 2 weeks every season. I feel like that I go into the slate and I'm like, I don't feel comfortable about this slate. I should self-exclude from this slate. And I never do. And I'm always right, which is the problem. I'm not saying I win every other week, but there's always like 2 that I just don't feel right about running teams out there. And I got smoked yesterday as expected. So
I mean, it was obviously a higher scoring week which is what happens when some of the chalkier plays have big games, right? Jordan Mason in particular. Jonathan Taylor was certainly not low owned. Rome didn't go crazy, but he had a good game and he was very popular. A lot of the stuff. And then the Vikings, which we'll get to, right? The Vikings were not popular, but when a defense scores 30, and there were 6 defensive touchdowns or something like that yesterday. There were 6 blocked kicks. I know that.
Saying too many.
Yeah, just a few too many. When the defenses are outscoring all the running backs, it's like if you didn't play Mason, Jonathan Taylor, like Ken Walker was fine, but there were like 3 defenses that like outscored, like the RB4 or whatever on the week. It was a pretty wild week, which creates higher scoring, of course. And so if you kind of got too far off the beaten path, which isn't necessarily wrong, right? But Keenan Allen is going to apparently score 17 touchdowns this year, right? Like these kind of popular plays got home. It was really easy to which is not wrong. I believe in the kind of Ricky Bobby first or last right approach. But it can lead you to the bottom really, really quickly. If you fade Jordan Mason or you fade Jonathan Taylor and you don't have like the Vikings defense, it's like, well, it's over, right? Your slate is over because Jordan Mason is 50%, Jonathan Taylor's 25%, and then the Vikings scored 30. So it's like that's 100 fantasy points or whatever between those 3. It's pretty easy to have a rough week, but I don't think it's such a funny thing where I don't think that having a bad week in a week like this inherently is like you screwed up or you had a bad process. But there were also, how I like to play in certain contests specifically, nice ways to still play some of these like chalkier pieces that got home and make little pivots and little tweaks within each lineup, which was kind of if you read the blueprint this week, was my approach of like, this chalk is really good. Now let's figure out how to play some of it, but also play tournament, potential winning lineups. And I think obviously it worked out okay for me, a little bit of luck, but that's generally like how I like to think about slates like that. And sometimes it can blow up in your face, right? If you went the route of, CeeDee, who is very popular, instead of JT. Like your whole slate, is very, very different. It doesn't mean that CD lineups were bad. It just means that there's generally kind of only a couple direct paths to winning on a slate like yesterday.
Yeah, so my big problem yesterday, and we'll dive into your team, is I did get too fancy. I knew I wanted to play Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown stacks, and on my big teams, on my big single entry stuff, and then I just got too fancy around that, where I should have been playing that and then building the chalk around that because they weren't super high owned, and that was
Were
my
you worried because they were projecting higher owned earlier in the week, the Eagles pass game? That's why I was like, if anything, I think I'll play Saquon. Obviously, I didn't, but like, so full transparency, I played 5 total teams on DraftKings. The other 4 were just in like the low dollar, like milli makers and stuff. So like I did get a little funkier on some of those, and I cashed one of the other 4 in the milli. It was actually pretty good, but it didn't sniff anything in the 5, whatever it was, or the $20 milli maker or whatever. But I had the same thought. I came into the week like, I gotta play. Like, this is it. This is the spot. I think I need to play an Eagle, a Hurts, AJB, Hurts, Devontae, whatever, Goddard, some kind of passing game stack. But like, they were projecting pretty popular. They're like, everybody loves that. They were simming well, right? Simming well, that kind of stuff, where I'm like, I think this is going to be a little bit more owned than I thought. And so I decided to stick with like, no, the Eagles are just going to do what the Eagles are going to do. And they kind of did. But in the second half, it opened up, and they were obviously awesome plays. I'm just curious if you thought about, like, I think other people are seeing this thing too.
Yeah, but then on Friday, I think every third car that would pass me on the street would just start yelling Marcus Mariota out the window. So by that point, I was like, oh, everyone's just going to play Marcus Mariota this week. So, which I didn't hate Marcus Mariota by any means for the week, clearly, but once that opened up, I was like, okay, that's going to open Jalen Hurts up quite a bit for this slate, and we know he can get there multiple ways, and I just thought that was the way to go, and then I just butchered it around him. But let's not talk about my losses. Let's talk about your win.
Yeah, so it's also I'll kind of talk about how I thought that this was fitting for my play style, and my play style is not necessarily for everyone, and my play style is not necessarily what some other like the best players in the world or whatever would back every single thing that I'm going to talk about here. But I thought it was one of those slates where if you are a smaller field, like single entry-ish style player, that you could play into what are just truly phenomenal plays with some minor tweaks, right? A couple of what I basically did was played a bunch of chalk. The Bijan ownership, I was honestly, when the cards flipped over, I was kind of mad. I was kind of mad that I played Bijan, so I think that was honestly not an awesome read. But I'll get into the like combinatorial aspects of it too. There's 2 main things. I thought Jordan Mason was just like kind of a home run, and I felt if there was someone who still wasn't projected high enough, he was probably the guy. And part of the actual reason that you see the Vikings defense on the team that I played here, I thought the Vikings defense was the best defensive play of the weekend. Absolutely no one was playing them. So I was like starting with Mason Vikings from a main team, like smaller field perspective. And I was just like, all right, this defense is going to be just a couple percent owned as it is. It pairs well with Jordan Mason. So I right off the bat, like had I'm playing this 48% owned running back with a variation of it that, right, people, we love the defense plus running back thing. If the Vikings dominate, Jordan Mason is going to get a bunch of work. He's going to get more touchdown opportunities. And that's exactly what happened. The extent to which the Vikings dominated that game is a little bit crazy, but I was more on the side of that's kind of what, not 48-10, but I thought the Vikings defense getting healthier and against this Bengals offensive line with a backup quarterback, et cetera, that was kind of a way that instantly, despite the fact that I have Jordan Mason, I have this pathway to a clear run up the leaderboard that just like people, the amount of Jordan Mason plus Vikings teams was so low in this is a 300 and something person contest. So I got second in the game changer, 318. So there's 318 people. So like instantly from there, this is how I like start to think about the slate, right? Is like instantly from there, I'm like, okay, we're off to a good start. I'm not too worried about ownership yet. I was pretty adamant all week that like I'm just not fading that Bears Cowboys game. And then when you start to think about, okay, how do I do that like in a smarter way? You would see the Javonte stuff popping up a lot. And it's not that Javonte was a bad play at all. I liked him. I played him on another team or two. But you'll hear people talk about, okay, well, how does that game fail? They'll be like, Javonte's going to grind it out, right? Javonte's going to get a bunch of work and he's going to grind this thing out. And so I'm like, I didn't want to play CD as a part of that. And then Javonte was like the next alternative. I'm mad I didn't get to Ferg on this team, but I did get to some Jake Ferguson. And then Pickens was really the thing to me. It's like CD's going to be super popular in these smaller fields, higher stakes tournaments. And that's going to, and then if they don't go to CD, they're going to go to Javonte and maybe Ferg because he's a tight end. Pickens is like this ultimate leverage play kind of on all of that different stuff, who's also a really high upside option just overall, right? Didn't catch the big one this week, but still did catch the touchdown, yet another end zone target. The dude's got like 8 end zone targets in 3 games. It's pretty crazy. So from there, it was just like, all right, let's do the Pickens side of this. Let's do this Vikings defense thing. No one's going to punt tight end. And then what with the illness to JSN, I started to get really excited about him in that I think he was projecting higher owned than he was going to end up being because everybody was just going to pile on Ken Walker instead.
Yeah.
And Ken Walker came in higher owned than Jordan Mason and Bijan, right? Ken Walker was the highest owned player in this contest. I think Big Penguin had him. Yeah. Bing Penguin, by the way, won without Jordan Mason, which tells you could have done that. But Ken Walker was 56% and Mason was 48%. So not a huge deal. But again, JSN was projecting higher than this in small field stuff heading into the week. And I was like, ooh, I kind of wonder if that's not going to happen. And so it was like, all right, let's take Ken Walker out, put JSN in. Let's take out CD, no Javonte, whatever. Let's put George Pickens in. You got this Vikings defense and Mason stuff. And it was like, I think I'm just going to jam the best plays. And now I would not classify Tyler Conklin as the best play, though I did like him. I did like him better, obviously. I mean, I played him, right, for $1,510 or whatever it was on the week. But it was like, is there a viable punt tight end down here? Because everybody was kind of living in that mid-range or Trey McBride, which I also think Big Penguin had. No, he had Hunter Henry. Right. Ferg ends up 11%. Trey McBride's almost 20%. So it's like, if I can punt tight ends and nobody blows up right at this position, it gives me another, just the combinatorial aspect of it all kind of came together with just a couple of leverage plays, right? JSN over Ken Walker, George Pickens over the other Cowboys, this low owned Vikings defense that pairs well with Jordan Mason. And then it's like, yeah, play Caleb, play Rome, right? Play Bijan, play JT. It just play the best plays then around it. And I it doesn't always work like that, but sometimes on those weeks, that's kind of how I like to play it, is identify a couple of those pivot points and then just kind of, right, play whoever you want once you've identified that, just like you did with Hurts, AJ Brown, if you played Puka or whatever, like some permutation of that game, and then just be like, nothing else matters now. That's right. That's the only thing that matters for my week. Now just play the best plays.
Yeah, I think the other thing about this lineup that's key that we didn't even talk about, Lord Reeves was on this all week as well, where this was the perfect slate that if you hit on your early guys, you can do whatever you want with the late guys. But if you had failed with some of these guys, you could have pivoted off of Caleb Williams, right? Like, I'm not saying you would have won, but I'm just saying, like, in terms of thinking about your lineup, like, let's say that, I don't know, Jonathan Taylor and Bijan didn't do quite what you wanted, didn't quite get to where you needed them to get to.
I was feeling that way, by the way, for like the Vikings keep scoring touchdowns and JT keeps getting stuffed at the 1 yard line, or JT had like 8 yards in the first half or something like that. Like it didn't look like this was going to happen. And the Falcons are getting their ass kicked by the Panthers. Like I was literally sitting there having that thought, going through that thought process by yourself. I had Chargers stuff like ready to roll. Yeah. Herbert, Broncos, Chargers stacks ready to roll in case it didn't go well. And then JT rips off the long one, right? Mason scores his second touchdown. And it's like, okay, I'm fine now. I can let it roll.
Yeah, but I just think that's important to note that on slates like this, especially when you have like that big game in the second half that people want to play, it's important to hit on those first guys and know that if you don't, that you should just have been swapping to Arizona or San Fran or whoever, just to give yourself a chance to win. Because if those players don't come through, this team's dead, right? Like, because everyone has Caleb already. Everyone has, you know what I mean by everyone. It's 15%. 15% is pretty high for a quarterback like Caleb.
But
Williams.
Also, if you played Caleb, you could stick with Caleb, but you better not play Rome.
Right. You needed to
switch. Every Caleb, Caleb is 15%, Rome is 50. So they come preloaded together, right? That was a big thing about this week for me. Was it wasn't so much the raw ownership of any one of these individual guys, because frankly, they all should have been. Right. I think the ownership was warranted on basically, like, including Ken Walker, right, who I didn't play, including Keenan, who I didn't play. There were guys who were popular and it was deserved, but it was like, how do I put these pieces together? And that was like the big story. And that's also why contest specific stuff is so important to me. Like, this is a bad Millie Maker. I mean, I played in the Millie Maker because I always just, I can't stomach playing a team and not having it. Like, if I really, if you really hit the nuts and you don't win $1 million. But like, I don't think this was a good large field team. I think this was for a high stakes, right? It's a $1,500 tournament with 300 people. I'm like, once I did 3 things, right? All right, Pickens, JSN, Vikings defense with, and I'm punting tight end. So I guess that's 4. Once you do a couple things, like who cares, right? Put Mason, put Rome, put whatever, like stand on the best plays, because you've created the path. Like there's no more need to keep making the path hard, right? Making the part, you don't get any more reward for having lower ownership across. Sometimes, it's just better to play the lower owned guys, but on this slate, I thought it was for these tournaments, let's not get too crazy cute. And I fall into that path, or I fall into that trap a little bit too often. And so this ended up being one of those good weeks where I tried to stay level-headed in that regard, and just being like, I know you really like, you play Pollard over Mason and then play this guy over this guy and then play, and it's like the next thing you know, you have a bunch of 5%ers. But all the chalky guys all project like way better.
Yeah, which was part of my mistake this week, and I do it like once a year too, where I make that mistake and then I remember it, and then I'm good for the rest of the year. But I hate having to learn the same lesson over and over again. But this is awesome. We are very excited for you. Congrats. You should not buy a Tyler Conklin jersey though.
I was thinking if I should. I was wondering if I should. And see if I can try to get in touch with him. I don't imagine he's that difficult to get in touch with, although Justin Herbert couldn't get in touch with him on Sunday. I wonder if like I literally like was trying to DM or like reached out to his agent or something, like this would be really funny. I'm like, I will hang this in my office if you sign this. Like, I will shadow box this, and if Tyler Conklin signed it, it would be absolutely hilarious. I will say
he'd have to inscribe it. Congrats on second.
Yes, 100%. Like if he would play into the bid, it would be very funny. But it was miserable watching that game, because it was like I'm trying to think of it's a little bit like Chiefs-ish, where you're like, is that Kelsey or is that Noah Gray or is that right? And it was like that. So Arondé Gadsden caught 5 passes or whatever it was in that game. Mm-hmm. And I know people were like, oh, did Gadsden actually step into a bigger role? It was like, well, sort of. But they were playing dudes I had literally never heard of. I thought it was like creative player. They're playing. There's some dude, last name Carlton, like Steve Carlton's son or something, and Fisk, the bad guy from fucking Daredevil, was out there playing. They played more snaps than both Tyler Conklin and Arondé Gadsden. It was the most. He's the former Ravens offensive coordinator. That's the Chargers. Greg Roman. It was the most Greg Roman Harbaugh thing ever to be like, oh, Will Dissly's out. We can get grosser than Will Dissly. I promise you. And I'm just sitting there watching their version of Pat Ricard or whatever out there. And I'm just like, where in the fuck is Tyler Conklin? Like, I don't even need 10 points. I'm like, just give me 4 or something, dude. Like, and I'll be happy. And he's just chilling, watching Carlton Fisk or whatever that's out there playing tight end / fullback for the Chargers. It was pretty hilarious, but at least it allowed me to be like reasonable about it. I was like, And he's just literally not playing. So like, what? Like whatever. Who cares? And I followed it up playing Jalen Royals on the showdown slate. Like, well, at least I know I pissed away some of the 50K back to the good people at DraftKings.com because I played a dude who never got onto the field.
My dream scenario is that Tyler Conklin is actually Big Penguin, and he was tracking your game, and he just went up to Harbaugh. I was like, "Listen, man, you need me to sit.
Just put Fisk in, brother. Just put Fisk in.
I won't ask for any more money this year."
Exactly. He's like, I got paid already. I think you should get it's like when Saquon let Gainwell and stuff go at the end. He's like, don't you want to break the record? Conklin's like, I got 50 yards this year already, brother. Let's let Fisk cook a little bit. Don't mind the fact that I also bet Tyler Conklin over 1.5 catches. Gave that out on several platforms, and then played him in a stone cold goose egg. This week could have been very bleak. Let's just say, if I didn't have a good week in DFS, attaching my brand to Tyler Conklin was probably not a super ideal way to have people follow you. Or subscribe to Spike Week is making Tyler Conklin a flag plant, and then he scores 0 points and gets outplayed by the bad guy from Daredevil. And it's like sometimes the fantasy gods are kind. They were not kind to the CeeDee Lamb teams as an example, but we got a little lucky. I do want to just shout out the folks in the chat. I seriously appreciate all of the congrats here, social media, everything. Get another one this week. Love Star says. I wish it were that simple. The greatest lock of all time is that I'm gonna get crushed in week 4. Like the absolute greatest lock. Cobra said there were nine defensive touchdowns on Sunday. That's absolutely insane. A shout out Paul Blake. Martin says, the winning Millie Maker lineup. Do you know who the highest scoring player was yesterday?
We're gonna talk about him because I'm chasing him down right now.
Oh my god, that's insane. Okay, I'll leave it. But yes, Trey Tucker 8 for 165 and 3 or something was not on my bingo card yesterday for sure. Let's see, what does PMR stand for? Player minutes remaining. And I had, so to your point earlier about like, should you swap, should you not swap, or whatever, I'm sitting going into the afternoon, so I haven't had Caleb, Pickens, Rome, JSN, Conklin. None of them are playing yet, and I'm in like 16th or something like that, right? With I mean, everybody in front of me, I have like 150 more. I have 2 or whatever more players than they all do, and then some of them have defenses, right? Which is like, I didn't know that was the cheat code to this week, but at the time you're thinking like, well, okay, the defense, like, okay, maybe it gets 12 or something like that. But I have, and then like JSN scores right away. So even from you still have like 20 minutes, right, between the Seahawks game and the Bears game. And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, at least now I can, right? If Ken Walker like reps a 60-yard touchdown to start, I'm like, okay, do I do any swapping or whatever here? And I'm like, well, JSN long catch and then touchdown immediately. And I'm like, okay, like we just let it ride, right? But knowing, again, that it's another one of it was a huge see where you are heading into that Cowboys game, basically because of Rome, and CD, of course. I don't know who had the highest scoring CD team, but he was like 40 something percent in this tournament, which was another one where 41.8% in this tournament. And it was like, again, people are like going to punt quarterback to get him. He's going to be with Rome a lot. He's going to be with Dak a lot, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where just Pickens sort of jumped out, and there was no real reason for me to make any swaps.
Yeah, I mean, between Pickens and Ferguson, either one of those would have made a ton of sense to just be part of a different variation of these builds that people, because 40%, 41, 42% basically for CeeDee Lamb is a lot. Also, I'm upset with DraftKings. I think they messed up their slate this week. I don't think they ran their normal spies. Like
they did not.
And I was just sitting there Sunday morning. Like I had been registering early, and then I went in to register Sunday morning. I'm like, what am I looking at right now? What are these contest selections? So Hopefully they get on the ball and get that all fixed this week.
First of all, yes, I did withdraw as soon as it hit the account last night
course.
because I'm a degenerate and I was having a couple cocktails and I didn't want to get too deep. If you don't think the moment it hit the account that I went like, let's go see what Jalen Royals props are, and luckily they didn't have them. Right, they didn't have any Jalen Royals props, but I was ready to donk some back. I actually cashed in the show. I cashed with Royals in the show. Scatterboo was shockingly low owned last night in the show. So he was obviously the big difference maker. I did play Neighbors captain, which didn't go very well, but you can only take out 25K so I deposit with my debit card or credit cards or whatever, and they only let you do 25K on your credit card or debit card at a time. So we had to take out 25, and then I'm playing some Showdown tonight. Nothing crazy, but yes, I did not piss away $24,000 or $26,000 in 12 hours. I promise.
Finding some random Saskatchewan Rough Riders game to bet on last night.
100%.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your day, Eric, because you will be putting your feet to the fire when we do our Survivor show for being a coward, basically.
I played the Seahawks, brother. Let's not talk about it. Let's have a positive conversation.
This is the positive day.
I love having to defend taking the team that's up like 42-3 at halftime or whatever. You're like, you're such a donkey. I'm like, they won by like 60. But obviously they were chalky, and so that's I played Jordan Mason chalk, I played Roma Dunze chalk, and I played the Seahawks chalk. So color me a chalk donkey. I did lose my I played the Falcons. I also played the Falcons.
Oh no!
I was trying to figure out swaps, and I'm so uncomfortable with the Chiefs. We'll talk about it, but it was bad. I feel bad. I deserve all the flack that I get for it, but I was just trying to, and I was like going through the Falcons like future schedule, like I'm not in love with a lot here. So I did one Falcons in a different pool, and that was Jesus
road
Christ.
Divisional game.
That could not get worse.
Road divisional game.
Disley, it was hurt. Not a healthy scratch. So he'll be back. And yeah, him and Conklin have been literally splitting the tight end snaps down the middle. So I didn't expect. I thought Gadsden would come in and play some. Riddle me, an idiot, or call me an idiot. I didn't foresee these. I truly had never heard of who these other guys were. They played like literally like whatever. Fisk played like 40% of the snaps, and Conklin and Gadsden played like 25. It was bizarre.
They couldn't find the corpse of Stone Smart to dig up.
Yeah, where's Stone Smart?
All right. Well, we've celebrated your Bink. Shall we sweat some teams now?
Let's do it.
We'll start with mine. We're going to talk about the first quarter tournaments. I had 2 in the first one that they ran. I have 2 in the second one that they ran, and we'll go over my sweats real quick. Let me does it not let me zoom? There we go. Let's zoom in a little bit. So we had 2 teams in the first quarter, and I will tell you now, this Chase Achan McBride team that's in second is dead. We have no PMR, as we were talking about earlier. Thanks a lot, Jamar Chase. We appreciate your efforts on the first part of the season.
I know it was just one game, and it went about as bad as it could go. But is this the most bleak 2-1 team you've ever seen in your entire life? Good Lord.
It was terrible. Let's talk about this particular team here. Let's start with the guy that's in first place, A Taggart here. So let's start by talking about he's only up 23 on me at the moment. He has Jared Goff to go.
Okay.
But he doesn't start accumulating points until about 16 points because he has to outscore Daniel Jones. He had McCaffrey, Bucky Irving, James Conner, who went down, or Mondre, who scored nothing. Mike Evans scored him some points before leaving. He has J-Mo for part of a stack.
Mm-hmm.
But he had Trey Tucker.
Oh, my
God. In the first quarter. This dude had Trey Tucker on his team.
Oh, my God.
So I'm trying to chase down probably the one Trey Tucker team that's in this tournament right
What's
now.
his ownership in other tournaments? It's got it because it's got to be so
it's
low.
got to be like abysmally small. But he's got JMO and Isaac Tesla, but they can't start scoring until
6.5. 6.5.
Yeah, 6.5. So that's not great.
Tesla's whatever, but GMO at 6.5. Yeah.
We don't like that. So I'm okay on the Jared Goff stuff. We're down 23. We have Lamar, who starts accumulating at 11.6.
That's good.
Which we really like. And we have Jahmyr Gibbs, who can start accumulating at 6 points, under 6 points.
Okay.
So it is actually a sweat. We actually have a sweat here.
And you have the direct leverage on Gibbs versus Goff, right? Obviously, Gibbs could catch a touchdown, but generally speaking, right, the running back is nice to have in this spot. Gibbs also pairs really well with Lamar, right? If Lamar nukes and Goff doesn't, Gibbs catching a bunch of passes, maybe breaks a long run, right? Whatever. It's kind of the perfect way. If you had to dream up a scenario in which your opponent had Trey Tucker and you are chasing points, this is at least one of the better ones to have.
Yeah. And we do have Mark Andrews as well, but he's not going to start scoring until 12.8, basically. So
you might as well not have him.
Right.
Based on what Mark Andrews did. Jesus Christ.
Anything, maybe we get a couple points if he has his best game of the season at this point.
Exactly.
And we'll just look for real quick. The guy behind me has Lamar, but we sort of have that Lamar angle blocked. And he has Zay Flowers, who starts accumulating at 5.
I do love Zay tonight, but you're.
But we're up 16.
Yeah.
With the other players to go. So
and
I
have Lamar. I know he has Lamar too, but like you're sort of right. You're kind of blocking him.
Yeah. So that's a legit sweat. I really want to get this team in. A Lamar Gibbs McBride team seems like it would be a lot of fun to have in the finals next week.
Dude, Trey Tucker was 42% drafted in the drafters. $20, I guess 20 rounds. I have 0. I have 0. So I guess I'm just a moron. But that I would have guessed like maybe 15 or something like that. Not 42.
That's about what I would have guessed as well. Let's look at our dark horse team. We are down 20 points, 20.2 basically in this one. This was one of those ones that I was talking about last week where we started autoing and had to sort of salvage it as much as we could. We're down 20 something. Our only hope is we have Zay Flowers, who starts accumulating at 3.5.
Ooh.
So he could get us there. And I don't think anyone in front of us has anyone too scary. If I remember, the guy in second right here is done. So not worried about him. The guy in first also, he has Jameson Williams, but Jameson Williams for him cannot start
11. Okay.
Until 11 and a half. And he has Mark Andrews, but Mark Andrews has to score almost 15 to start.
I shouldn't be so mean and write him off, but like Jesus Christ, the first 2 weeks for Andrews are just like about as bad as it gets. So it's hard to envision him putting up like an 18 or something to add.
Yes. And so that's what we're looking for there. We're looking for like a huge game. That's a dark horse team. I think it's like 20. I mean, I think Zay Flowers is capable of 24 on underdog. Mm-hmm. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
So obviously unlikely, but half point PPR, not that many guys score 24. They're all, but I bet Zay overs tonight. I think that was part of the why there's not 25,000 in the account is because some of it went on Zay Flowers overs. I think this is just like an awesome spot. Like Lamar Zay is just, famous last words, right? Like Lamar pass catchers, it'll be Devontae Walker and DeAndre Hopkins again. But Zay is one of the biggest alphas in the entire NFL, and this is like an awesome spot for them, both matchup wise, like with the defense, but also with the fact that the Lions are going to keep. Right, they're gonna keep the foot on the gas and try to push the Ravens to keep scoring.
Yeah, hopefully not through Jared Goff though,
because
exactly. We're gonna talk about that a little bit more here. This is my team that's in first by 3.74 points. This was a Jalen Hurts, and you're gonna see why I want this team particularly to make it. this is a Green Bay stack with the Javonte Williams bring
and
back.
Javonte and Benson. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. And
loaded.
And Green Bay plays Dallas next week.
Mm-hmm.
So
and J.K. Dobbins is still the lead back for the Broncos, and they play the Bengals.
Yeah. So we want this team to get in bad. So this is a naked Jalen Hurts team, by the way. I actually remember, you know how you like remember a few teams of drafting every year?
Yep.
I remember drafting this team because obviously I didn't get AJ Brown, but I took Hurts and I was going to get Devonta Smith. And weirdly, the guy
would that have helped you? Would that have helped you this week?
Oh,
probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely.
Not like it would have been Waddle or Zay. So we'll see. I mean, he outscored Waddle, so I guess it would have helped regardless. But
he outscored Io Manor, so that's who we would have replaced there. But the funny thing about that was
you probably wouldn't have Waddle, or you wouldn't have Waddle or Zay, one of the two, if you would have taken. I assume
I wouldn't have Zay, because what happened was
maybe you're not here if you don't have Zay.
I don't know, because
week one.
That's true, maybe not. But what happened was the guy with Lamar was like in front of me, and I was expecting him to take Zay, and I was going to take Devonta, and he took Devonta, and I was like, "All right, I guess I'll take Zay." So we have Zay Flowers, who can start adding at 11.8, I believe. Oh no, actually 9. He can start adding at 9.7. So double digits. He can start accumulating, which is super important, because the guy that's 3.7 behind me, he also has Zay Flowers, who starts accumulating at 6.1. So I have the edge.
He's how far behind?
He's 3.74.
Holy shit! So that's really close.
So I have that blocked.
Yeah, just barely, right?
Just barely, but he has Goff.
Oh,
and Goff starts accumulating at 15.6.
Ooh, that's going to be a sweat.
So it's a huge sweat. He doesn't have Goff stacked with anybody. Those are his only 2 players on this team. So that's why we need Gibbs to just absolutely nuke it tonight. And this guy back here, I believe this guy has Derrick Henry, who can start accumulating at 7.2, and he's down 9. But again, I can start adding points here as well.
Right.
So
you got defense. Yeah.
So we can still accumulate, but I would really like for this team to make it through, because that running back room is just, everything. We get the Green Bay Dallas stack. We have Hurts as like just a solo there, but all of our running backs, other than
the running back room, is bonkers. That running back room is sick.
Yeah. So if that gets to the finals, man, we are. And then we have Malik Neighbors, JSN, Waddle, Flowers, Troy Franklin, Io Manor, Tucker Kraft's on this team, Juwan Johnson.
Our boy Diami got hurt, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah. But this team would this is the team I want to make it in. But I'll take any of them, obviously.
Yeah, of course. Get Chip in a chair, get there. I can share mine. I have not gone through all of these, so we'll do it live on air together.
Well, you're pulling them up. Have you talked to Hacker? Have you seen how many teams he's making?
Well, he got like 47 teams into week 3, which made me very happy for him. We're very good friends, obviously, but also like violently angry that he took all the things that we all agreed on and implemented them so much better than I did, like infinitely better than I did. And I thought I did an okay job, right? I have 8 teams. I just did the very first quarter, right? So I did 50 teams, and we got 8 into week 3, which I feel good about.
Yeah.
Currently advancing 1 a couple seconds in a third, but if I recall, I have some Lamar stuff that is the most important thing. So this is the advancing team. God, Mahomes Lawrence, what a depressing fucking quarterback room. But JT, Javonte, not much at running back though. Shout out C-Rod for actually being a thing. Finally, Drake London, disaster. Marvin Harrison, disaster. Pickens, Debo. We do have Zay, so it's similar to you.
Yeah.
I'm using Marv's score at 5.9, so I got some defense with Zay. But that is about it. And then this, look at what it's 95.76 to 95.32.
Ooh.
Let's see what this is. So he has Derrick Henry. So it's kind of Zay. Oh God, he basically starts scoring right away. So basically drawing to Zay outscoring Henry by a good clip. Let's see, just to double check if any of these other guys, another fucking hell. I'm in the Derrick Henry pod here, apparently. With this one, they have Derrick Henry also starts scoring fairly quickly. 9.6 would be Derrick Henry, so that guy's screwed. But either way, fading Derrick Henry on my current and advancing team. This one, like significantly far out. Let's see if it has any life. I think this one was cooked. Does have Zay. Does have Zay, but yeah, not down by, we're down by 40 or whatever. So Zay is dead. This one down by 15. We'll call it 15. Let's see if there's any life. No, probably has Zay, and I'm going to be mad. Nope, nothing with that one. So in second, but dead there. Holy shit, this guy has 160 points.
What does he have for 160?
It's okay, so it's got to be Hunter Henry. It's Trey Tucker.
Taylor, right? It's got to be Taylor.
So Hunter Henry, no Trey Tucker. Keenan, Pittman, Rome, Pearsall, got to be JT and Hampton. JT didn't even use Bijan's score.
Jesus.
Good Lord. JT, Hampton, has Eckler. What a team.
That is a hell of a team.
Adam Thielen, fucking Hunter Henry, and Harold Fannin only as tight ends. That's pretty awesome. So I don't imagine this one's going to look very good for me. No. It is a JT team, which stinks, but couldn't find anything else at running back. CD Pickens, who cares? On to the next. We lost CD out for a couple of weeks. So down. So here, this is a good one. I think I'm just mainly sweating Lamar Zay is what my thought was coming into the week anyway, just looking at my exposures. But so solo Lamar down, 30, let's call it 33. Saquon, Javonte would be fine to get there. The rest of the running backs are okay. Have your boy JSN, Cortland Sutton. Look at that. Shout out Cortland Sutton. No Zay Flowers. I'm guessing Andrews. No, just naked Lamar.
Naked Lamar. What do you need? A 30 burger from him?
30 ball from Lamar to get that one through. So far we're looking a little bit bleak, but I think I have a multiple. Yeah. We got another 112. Okay, this is nice. 112 is first place. I'm at 87. And Lamar starts counting right away. Saquon plus Ken Walker plus Swift plus Benson.
Oh yeah.
Plus C-Rod. Okay. All right. Zay starts at 6. Yeah.
6.5.
6. So Lamar starts right away. Zay starts at 6.2. Got a little bit of fucking Jaden Reed. God damn it. But a little bit of what you talked about with like some Broncos and some Packers and a Trey Benson. So this one, I'd go to battle with you with that one team you talked about with this one in the final. So that's probably what I'm mostly rooting for. Down 12, solo Allen. A lot of Keaton Mitchell on these teams. We got J-Mo here.
6.3.
So it's possible. Let's see.
I can't root for it with you, but
yeah, exactly. You're rooting against it, but this guy has Bateman. This guy has Lamar, who starts counting right away. Not gonna worry about that one too much. And then this one is down by 1 million. J-Mo. Yeah, that's about it. So hopeful for this one. Yeah. This is the sweat. This is also probably my best team, honestly. Mm-hmm. So it would be nice to get Lamar, Zay, Saquon, Ken Walker, Swift, right? Benson, plus Pearsall, Shaheed, Tillman, Troy Franklin, Torrey Horton. Shout out to Torrey Horton, by the way. What a baller.
He's hit the lineup twice now in the first 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. 2 touchdowns this week. Obviously, one was a return, but still. But then Trey McBride, Brenton Strange, I'd be happy about that too. So this is I'm cool with this. If it's just one and it's that Lamar team with Saquon, given my anti-Saquon stance, rooting for him next week would be very funny. But I'd be down. I'd totally be down for that team next week.
Yeah. So it looks like we're kind of in lockstep. We're Lamar's and then I just really need Gibbs to crush tonight as well.
I support that. Dude, for the first year in like the history of fantasy football, I'm overweight Jonathan, like the early round running back that's crushing. This feels like fucking uncharted territory. And I'm overweight Jahmyr Gibbs too. So if he goes nuts, I'll be like, what is happening exactly? Because I actually drafted an early running back and I was right. That feels insane. But JT, so far so good. We'll see on Gibbs tonight.
Do we want to hit on any of the stuff that happened yesterday? Do we want to talk about Trey Benson?
Yeah, let's talk about so I think running backs are opening up slowly but surely, mid to late round running backs. There's a bunch of them that I'm not saying, right? I just talked about I'm overweight Jonathan Taylor, I'm overweight Jahmyr Gibbs. Those are great guys to have on your teams, but maybe even earlier than usual. James Conner out for the season. Tyrone Tracy last night dislocated his shoulder. He was already losing a little bit of a handle on that job to Scadaboo very quickly. Yeah. And now obviously it's going to go Singletary will mix in next to Scadaboo, but even on a bad Giants offense, I mean, Scadaboo is going to score fantasy points. He just kind of has a fantasy scoring profile, right? Catching passes and getting goal line carries and such. But Trey Benson, I mean, did you watch the Cardinals Niners game yesterday? Amari DeMercado just cut his ass. What in the hell? That dude is so bad that Trey Benson played, I believe, 87%. I can't remember if it was snaps or whatever, but he was also playing on passing downs, which was, I thought, super bullish for him moving forward, because the concern would be they've trusted DeMercado in passing situations in the past, like even like over Connor, not this year, but historically. And it's like, if Connor went down, who had been playing those passing downs, and DeMercado was so bad, they were like, fuck this dude, just put Benson out there. And he racked up a bunch of targets and everything. I'm concerned about the Cardinals like offensive environment, but dude, who cares? Like, if you're going to get all the high value touches from Trey Benson, I think he looks pretty good. Just from an eye test perspective, he's flashed every game. Like he's done something to flash at least once a game. Phenomenal. Shout out Shriath for do you want to talk about Trey Benson? Yeah, I bet you do. I bet you do want to talk about Trey Benson. I mean, shout out to you. I really, really liked Trey Benson. He fits the perfect mold of how I like to draft, right? But just your conviction helped my conviction, if you will. Like, I really, really liked him. It also kind of helped that the market never made me choose amongst like him, Algier, Sampson, Shipley, right? The mark like Braylon, they were just like never really priced next to each other. I kind of always could just get all of them on the same teams. And so that really, really helped. And like I said, your conviction on Trey Benson, we can't predict injuries with James Conner, but I think it was pretty clear that he was getting real work even alongside James Conner, which like that's the thesis, right? Is like he can take some of this stuff just through sheer performance, and then he has the contingent value to be an absolute home run. And obviously James Conner is a seemingly awesome dude, and we don't ever want anybody to get hurt, but this it is what it is, right? This is what happens. This is the game we play. Guys get hurt, and we're just trying to make money, right? We're not rooting against them, but we're just trying to make money. And I think Trey Benson is maybe about to prove the whole thesis of the play here pretty quickly.
I'm waiting for week 5 to really start to watch it.
Who do they
They're
have?
They're on a short week. They play Thursday.
In Seattle, right?
In Seattle, yeah. So it's a tough spot to come right into. But the thesis on the Trey Benson stuff isn't just Trey Benson as a player. It was, we know he's the 2 on that team. Like we knew that this wasn't a Chicago situation. We knew Trey Benson was the 2 there, and we knew that if James Conner went down, he was going to get substantial work. and his price was reduced versus other players that are like this. So when all of that is like put before you, guys like him, guys like Tyler Algier, when they're so reduced in price in a best ball setting, that's why we hammer him. If he was 3 or 4 rounds more expensive, I wouldn't have had as much Trey Benson. I wouldn't have had 0, but it makes it a harder click. Just the range that he was going on, it was just a murky range around everyone else, but we knew what his role was. So that's the whole point in Trey Benson. I think like identifying those spots. Yeah, he's not an 18th round pick, but he's much further in the draft than a lot of people, and you can capitalize on that. And those are the players we should be capitalizing on, rather than waiting till the 18th round and being like, I think Roshan Johnson's the RB2, when we didn't know who the RB1 was for a while in Chicago. So I think that's the stuff that we want to capitalize, and I try to make sure I do that. I don't do it perfectly every year, of course, none of us do, but I did have a conviction in that one. It's the reverse of like the Corum thing last year, right? Where we knew he was like the RB2, but by doing that, we allowed him to get priced so high that he was like the most expensive backup running back.
Like strict backup, right? Like,
yeah.
Like Chase Brown versus Zach Moss is different than Kyren Williams versus Blake Corum. Maybe Blake Corum versus Kyren Williams this year is a little bit closer to that, but not last year.
Right. And we used, and it wasn't just the Blake Corum thesis, it was people hate Kyren Williams thesis too. So they allowed him to get priced up to a level that he just probably shouldn't have been. And
not this year, which is hilarious, which is really hilarious that Blake Corum is doing stuff now. And last year, right, the conviction was, well, yeah, let's take this handcuff to Kyren because Kyren stinks, right? They drafted this guy. And now, myself included, I have more Jarquez Hunter, a lot more than Blake Corum. But it's just funny, right? In this, as you're talking about some of these things that we can learn lessons from, it's like the general idea of Blake Corum was not wrong last year. The price was wrong. Right. And then because the price was wrong last year, we gave up and we just said, fuck him. We're not drafting him. Like literally he was in the 18th round all summer and not even drafted 100% of the time. And it's like, I know they drafted Jarquez that introduced a little bit of chaos, but it's like, it's funny that one year we're like, this dude goes at pick 100. And the next year it's like, yeah, even though the thesis was kind of right, the thesis was kind of right. We kind of chased our tails quite a bit.
Yeah, I was guilty of that as well. I mean, I think the Hunter thing is important, but I do think I should have had probably some more Corum and less Hunter. Like I should have balanced that a little bit better, maybe. Even if I still think I should have had more Hunter, I still think I should have
totally
had more Hunter, but I think I should have balanced that. Like if I don't know what I had, but if I had 20% Hunter and 2% Corum, maybe I should have had 16% Hunter and like 6% Corum or something like that. You know,
rookie Corum, love. Second year Corum, who cares? Yep. Yeah. If you don't,
and third year he's old.
And third year, send him to fucking Siberia. You know, like him and Quentin Johnston. Well, fuck them. We're done with those guys. It is fascinating, and I think that's all the stuff we talked about here today is like the lesson is not that like in any individual micro situation, like are we going to be right or but the general process, if you like zoom out on all this stuff, right? Like the DFS team I played, if you zoom out, you said, okay, we just did XYZ, and I could do the same thing in week 4 and fail so spectacularly that it's laughable, right? We could show up next Monday and I'm more than happy to, right? I'm an open book. I'll show you my team and I'll be in last or whatever. The same thing can be said about all this best ball stuff, but like we get so fixated on this. Really, it is every NFL season is in and of itself a very small sample, despite playing 17 games or 12 games or whatever. Some of these guys don't play every game. And then we just like latch onto it so strongly, we're like strangling it, and we kind of lose sight of like, well, you liked Blake Corum well enough. Let's just say I didn't like Blake Corum at pick 100 last year, but I still would have him ranked, whatever. I had him ranked at, let's just say pick 130 or something like that. You liked him well enough to be priced like Trey Benson this year, right? Yeah. You liked him well enough for that. But this year you were like, well, you see Jarquez, Corum, Corum obviously sucks. And it's like, well, it's not really true. it's like, there's this middle ground that I think we tend to be so binary and stick to the he's a superstar slam dunk or he's an absolute disaster. I don't want any part of him. And most of these guys are really somewhere in between. But the results of one individual season really like mess with our heads, you know what I mean, heading into every summer.
I mean, the QJ thing, I see it got brought up somewhere in the chat or something. It's the same thing where QJ's rookie season was not great, but he improved year 2. But the market was still like, nope, can't draft QJ. We were getting him in like the 16th round all year, which was, me just clicking the button. And that had a lot to do with I thought the Herbert price was terrible this year. Like the fact that I thought he belonged in the red wedding, we were calling it, range. I thought that's where he did belong. But I thought he belonged at the front of that range.
Not at the back, right.
And he was at the back, and I'm just like, I'm just going to be a Chargers fan this year, and I am a Chargers fan this year.
He was closer to Tua in price than Kyler. And as we sit here...
Or Bo Nix.
Through 3 weeks, how fucking foolish does that feel? Right? Like you said, we anointed... we have to order quarterbacks, and quarterback ADP is weird. But Kyler Murray and Bo Nix were firmly implanted, entrenched, if you will, in the top 100. Justin Herbert was no different than those guys and was like 130. You could get him at one. You definitely never had to take him at 100, and you could get him, at pick 130 or something like that. Like I said, he was closer to Tua and Michael Penix than he was to Kyler Murray, and like that's crazy. Like that's insane. And it's not even necessarily to say anything wrong about Kyler Murray or Bo Nix or whatever. I have some of those guys too, but like. Quarterback ADP in that red wedding window is something that the market hasn't totally figured out. And the market's figuring a lot of things out, right? But the market hasn't figured out that the QB window pricing very well.
They pulled them all up. They squished them together, but they had the wrong kind of bread on the bottom. It should have been a different kind of bread on the top. And the one thing that I think I was like going through my head, and this is like the worst thought process probably to have, but when you look at those quarterbacks, like you brought up, like Bo Nix, Kyler Murray, and then Justin Herbert, in my brain, before the season even starts, if I told you one of those three is going to win the NFL MVP this year, who would you say?
Easily Herbert.
Yeah, it's like a snap, right? Like it's just it's like.
I mean, Kyler's not even in the. I would be like, take whatever that crisp $5 bill you were going to put on Kyler to win MVP. Go give that to a homeless person because it ain't fucking worth it. Like he's not going to win MVP. I could at least be talked into, okay, year 2 Bo Nix, right? Broncos go Burr or something like that.
He runs a ton. Yeah.
But it's like it's so clearly Herbert, Nix, Kyler, but how we priced them was, and I know fantasy is different. Justin Fields, and there's stuff that Caleb's not going to win the MVP either, but he's scoring fantasy points. But still, like there's levels to that type of nuance as well, and like that's crazy. Like Kyler is just objectively not very good as an NFL quarterback. He's just fast, and obviously you have the stacking options, and you had the Bengals stuff. But like when we'll look back and just laugh so hard at the Herbert versus like Kyler versus Nix versus whatever prices, and it doesn't mean that there's even like a huge lesson to learn there, but the way you phrase that is like hilarious in hindsight. Yeah. Like it's truly hilarious.
Yeah, because like if you told me he won the MVP, I wouldn't think twice. But yeah, I think he's good enough. Because I think he's a top 5 to 6 quarterback in the league. Like if like closer to the 5 than the 1.
I mean, obviously in the top 10. I just don't know where. Yeah, where. Yeah, I haven't gone through the list, but
I'd have to sit down. But like he's up there, and now we clearly understand that he was injured last year. Like, because he looks supercharged. Forgive the pun.
The addition of Keenan, I think, it shouldn't be ignored either. That like just having Keenan over, no offense, Josh Palmer, but like Keenan over Josh Palmer and having just this reliable veteran that's like Ladd ain't exactly cooking through 3 weeks. Obviously QJ is, but like just to have another just like super like the Chargers coaches have called Keenan like a a football savant that
Mhm.
like that's why he's so good and has continued to be very good, is like he just understands the game at a level that most like compare. We love measurables and all that kind of stuff, but like Kadarius Toney will never know as much about football as Keenan has forgotten in like the last week, right? And like that shit matters. And to be there for your quarterback, like I didn't care much about Keenan. I didn't draft much Keenan. That's a huge L. But like what he's done for this Chargers offense with a QJ leap and with Ladd just still being good, it's like it's kind of insane how good they are on offense. And they were okay this week, but I still thought it was an impressive performance.
It's a credit to the coaching staff too, because we know what this coaching staff likes to do, but they are smart enough coaching staff to lean into the strengths of their players, right? And the strength of this offense right now is the passing game. That is the strength of this offense. Justin Herbert is the strength. When they were, when Roman was in Baltimore, he made Lamar the focal point of the offense. He knew how to utilize him, even though he liked to run the ball as well. He still knew how to get Lamar to be the focal point of the offense.
Roman's a legit good offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
We just hate him because he did a lot of stuff that wasn't fantasy friendly.
But this shows you like who good offensive coordinators are. You scheme around the players rather than trying to fit the players into the scheme.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that just happens too much in the NFL.
Mike McDaniel, McDaniel, right? He's a circus. He runs a circus, and you come to the circus, and they don't have you ride whatever roller coasters or whatever that they got at the circus. You don't get alternatives at the Mike McDaniel circus. You just get it. And Greg Roman is offering up this poo-poo platter of offense that's whatever he's got, right? He's got QJ and he's got Keenan, and then he had Lamar and no wide receivers with the Ravens, right? And it's like he can operate hyper efficient offenses no matter who it is, so long as you give him a requisite level of talent.
Yeah, if you go to Mike McDaniel's circus and it's on fire, he's still trying to sell you a ticket. It's
100%.
fine.
Come throw this baseball and let's see how fast you throw it. It's fun. Everything's burning down around you, but he's throwing this baseball up and down. Like, come here, give me $1, and let's see if you can throw 50 miles an hour with the baseball. It's like, brother, come on, move on to the. Let's do something else.
So just while we're on this, talking about circuses and carnivals, do you know why? You know the term mark, right? It's like popular in wrestling. Like, oh, that guy's a mark. Do you know where that comes from?
No, I don't actually.
So marks, the original marks, because wrestling is carnival, and carnivals back in the day, they would have chalk on them, and they would try to find the people that were suckers, basically. And if they were a sucker, they would mark them on their shirt with like a piece of chalk or something. So that guy's a mark because he's got the mark on him from the chalk that somebody.
Interesting.
That they could try to sell to play more games or take all of their money through different games. That's where the term mark comes from.
God, I would have gotten marked so many times back in the day at this.
You go home, you're like, why is my shirt?
Brother, if you don't think I went to Six Flags and wanted like 17 basketballs from one of those, you remember you'd go shoot on the basketball hoop and you take home the like North Carolina basketball. I would show, but every time you'd come back with one of the like 2 of those basketballs. And my mom was just like, what is the exact point of you spending $50 to try to get these, $5 basketballs that have North Carolina colors on them or whatever? Yeah, it was 100% to try to show off.
It could be a team you hated. I wanted Detroit Pistons basketball, one of my least favorite basketball teams of all time. But all they had was Detroit Pistons, and they didn't just have the basketball hoop. This was the one they had, the old school. They had like the old barrel one.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I hit that when I was like 10, and I just remember the amazement from the staff, and I got a Detroit Pistons basketball that I hated. I was like, why did I do that?
Just notably, shout out to TJ. I love the basketball wars between myself and Roth and TJ are awesome. I'm actually going on I don't remember, Grinders Live, Crunch Time, whatever it is, on Roto Grinders tomorrow. So normally Roth is like the host, right, of these shows, and then like me and it's me and Dave Potts, Cheese is Good, and Roth, and we set it up so that Roth and I could talk shit about basketball because the baseball season's almost over. Like, who cares? And we're gonna do Grinders Live MLB DFS show where it's Cheese is going to be the like referee between me and Roth talking shit about basketball, and obviously TJ is included in all that. I posted a video on Twitter of myself playing in just by myself, just like shooting and stuff like that, just to like poke the bear with Roth and TJ. And I definitely triggered Roth enough that he went and did it himself too. He recorded it. Now it's a bunch of 40-year-old DFS touts recording themselves at the local YMCA shooting and playing basketball. But that's where we are in life. That I don't have a lot of things. I have crappy DraftKings lineups and playing basketball at the local Y. That's all we have to live for now.
I miss messing with Roth. I used to, back when I was doing a lot more producing for Roto Grinders and I had access to the StreamYard, I would just come in every couple of weeks when I wasn't producing because he can't see me behind the scenes. And right when he was about to do his little punchline, I would take him out and I would jump in and do it and then leave.
You have been crushed.
Yeah. Yep. Just absolutely ruin his night by not letting him do that.
So good. He's a trip. We also I won't share all the stories, but we had a very good time. Myself and Rob and others, of course. Reeves was there. Daigle was sick, but Daigle got sick at that Super Bowl party, which was really, really funny. We all went to karaoke on Saturday night, and I've told you this, and I've definitely told Roth this, that you can't ever say anything too bad about me, because I just have straight blackmail on both of you, specifically Roth, though, of videos and photos from his karaoke performance that are the stuff of legends that I don't think he wants out there on the internet. But nonetheless, we had good times. Thank you, TJ. We haven't talked much about this Monday night game. I know we talked about some of our sweats, but let's hit a couple of at least like the other sort of injury stuff, and then wrap with Monday Night Football and what you're thinking for Monday Night Football. Obviously, Trey Benson, right? Smash. I think Cam Scatterboo, just like smash. That's sort of where my injury brain has gone to, is that Najee Harris out with an Achilles tear. So Hampton obviously not like a zero running back target, but
right. But
he obviously also had a monster game this week. Amari and Hampton did finally. All of the we got to stop the instant reactions. Like, oh, Ashton Genty sucks. Actually, I'm like, no, the offensive line is terrible. He's literally getting contacted. He has the basically the worst like yards before contact in the entire NFL. Hampton had a little bit of a similar situation before this week. And it's like, we don't have to rush to like put the hot takes out there about like, especially rookies and like, this guy stinks or whatever. It's like, give him some time. Hampton just crushed and was awesome, and now Najee's out, so it's probably pretty good for Amari and Hampton. The Cowboys, I was so excited about the overall Cowboys offense, but the loss of CeeDee Lamb for 2 or so weeks is certainly not ideal. They weren't able to punch back quite as much this week without CeeDee, and I think that really matters. I mean, the amount of 3-yard Jake Ferguson catches was just like, holy shit, dude. This is really painful to watch Jake Ferguson turning into Zach Ertz. But was there anything else this week that you were like, ooh, moving forward, this is a pretty big deal? I thought Benson, Hampton, Scatterboo were near the top of the list, if not at the top.
I think that's all the major ones for sure. We didn't have as many injuries at the quarterback position this week, thank God.
Thank God. Yeah.
So that was good. Even though we did get to see Kirk Cousins come in the game for Atlanta, not the way we would have thought. If
Penix didn't get hurt, but he might as well have. Good Lord, his pride got hurt. That's for sure. I'm a little worried about Penix. Like, on the scale of aren't you worried? I am a little bit worried about Michael. He hasn't played well yet. He masked it with the week 1 like rushing stuff, and he did. It was an impressive like couple of runs. He didn't have to do anything in week 2. They just ran the ball like crazy. And that was bad. Like that was against a bad defense. That was really, and they tried to come out and get him going, right? They didn't run the ball like at all in the first drive. They were trying to get him some layups and get the vibe going a little bit, I think, with Michael Penix. And it just snowballed fast, like really fast.
Yeah. And if you can't get it going against Carolina, it's not going to get easier.
No.
I mean,
New
you
Orleans.
get the
I know New
Saints.
Orleans just got
but-
cooked, but New Orleans has a better defense than the Carolina Panthers. And we're talking about two bad defenses, but yeah, like it
But
ain't gonna
Seattle
be better.
scored defensively twice too, right?
Correct.
Like once or twice in
Kick return in it. Yep.
Yeah, so like their defense just crushed, and your defense is never going to do much there. So yeah, if you're not getting it going against Carolina, I was never sold on the Penix thing. I think Atlanta's building their team terribly. Like they have good pieces, but that team is just not being built properly.
You mean
The
a
Evans
shitty
injury.
tight end in the top 10, a running back in the top 10, and then a quarterback when you just paid Kirk Cousins is not the ideal way to put a roster together. Jesus.
Yeah, what are we doing, Atlanta? The Evans injury.
Oh yeah, good call.
It was inevitable, but it did happen, and it's a hamstring injury, which means it's just classic Mike Evans, unfortunately. Like this is the Mike Evans experience every year, but now he's not 23. He's 32, 33. I think he's 32. Hamstring injury. They're going to need to get Godwin back immediately. My God, though, Ibuka is
So
the
good.
truth. Just the absolute truth. Just him and Tet are phenomenal coming out. Where did Ibuka go in the draft?
Hold on, I just pulled up his Pro Football Reference page. 19th overall.
19th. Yeah, and weren't we? No, we were talking about Golden over Tet. We never talked about Ibuka. They never recognized that he was, because as soon as he got drafted, it was like all glowing reviews right away. Like he's smart. He's 5 years beyond his normal.
He's boring. He's Chris Olave, dude. It's
He's
like
so good.
no one cares. No one cares because he was just always really good, but never a superstar in college because he played next to superstars. Right. It's the Chris Olave. Like Chris Olave played with Garrett Wilson and Jackson Smith and Jigba. So everybody was like, he's like high floor. Right. That's what Ibuka was like. This dude's high floor, but like he's never going to be Justin Jefferson. And it's like, most people aren't going to be Justin Jefferson. He might be the best wide receiver on the planet. But did you see the Baker quote after the game? Obviously, what a sick drive to go win that game, by the way, by the Bucks. I love Baker so much.
Love Baker too.
But Ibuka had 2 one-handed catches.
Yep.
And they asked Baker about basically like, here's your opportunity to glaze Emeka Ibuka if you'd like. And he goes, he needs to stop disrespecting my throws and use 2 hands. And he's like, fucking rookies or whatever. And it was so Baker. It was he's obviously complimenting him, but he's like, why don't you just use 2 hands? Like you're acting like my throws are bad or something, it was great. But I actually thought through the first 2 weeks, Ibuka was like fine, but the touchdowns made us feel like really, really bullish. And this week he scored fewer fantasy points because he didn't score a touchdown. But I was like, yeah. Like, I am familiar with your game, right? But it was like the Shaq thing of like, you got this in the bag. I didn't quite realize, because the first 2 weeks were just a little bit, right? Like 13 total targets, 96 total yards, but 3 touchdowns. That made us feel really good. And then week 3, no touchdowns, but I was like, oh shit, this kid's the truth.
Yeah. I just want to talk about my favorite Baker moment from last week because I don't think we hit on it, but him when I thought he tore his ACL for 4 seconds when he's on the ground.
Oh yeah.
And you're just like, oh no, come on.
He popped up
Baker.
and tried to fight.
Try to fight somebody. I was like, this is the greatest moment of my life. I'm not even part of this.
He went down and grabbed his knee right away. And I was like, oh no. Cause like I have a bunch of bucks, right? And a bunch of bucks exposure. And I'm like, God damn it. And it was literally like 2 seconds later, he laid there for us just a second, holding his knee and popped up. And there was a dude standing there and he just gets right in his face. You could see him yipping. And I'm like, that was the quickest little roller coaster of emotions I've ever felt. Like from oh shit, it's over, right? I had the same feeling like when Najee went down, where you're like, yep, this is really bad. I had that feeling when Baker went down, and then in the blink of an eye, I'm like, oh no, that's Baker. Yep, he's fine. He's gonna go talk shit to a defensive lineman or whatever.
I got up and started talking shit. I was so excited. I was like, yes. Let's go.
How can you not be romantic about the Baker Mayfield experience? It ain't perfect, but it's so fun. He's so fun.
Thank God he got it. It's so fun. His path is so funny too. The the Cleveland to Carolina to the Rams.
Dude from
which I think
college
people
too.
Yeah.
He walked on at Texas Tech and then ends up at Oklahoma and takes the Oklahoma job and wins the Heisman. And you're just like, what the fuck, dude? This is out of control. And he did the same shit in the NFL, except it's like in the inverse. He's from the no name in college to the Heisman Trophy winner, and then from the number 1 overall pick to washing out and then coming back, right, and then bouncing back. It's like he had to go. It's like he always has to go through this like dark moment or something, I guess, to bounce back.
Yeah, I think the last thing I'd want to hit on is just I think we talked about it last week, maybe on the Survivor show. But we were talking about the Cleveland Brown defense and just how good they are. And we said that they were going to upset somebody big at some point. And I think we even said we wouldn't be shocked if it was the Packers last week.
Mm-hmm.
That defense, dude, I feel so bad for Myles Garrett. He has to deal with that shit show on the offensive side of the ball because, my God, that defense, if they had, they don't even need a top 10 offense. They need a competent offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they need. And it feels like they have the pieces too. Like
totally.
Like it's crazy. Like it's just, to me, it's crazy that defense is so good and you're never going to see the full value of them because look what they did against the Ravens.
Because of Deshaun Watson.
Because of one stupid move. But look what they did to the Ravens in the first half last week. You can't hold the dam at that point.
Yeah,
Lamar's when your offense. Yeah,
Jordan Love. Spoiler: Jordan Love ain't Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, well, that's for sure.
Dude, they can beat anybody, and we definitely talked about it. Where like the Browns are good and I think this year more so because I think the offense has just enough. Right, Flacco gives them just enough, and like Judkins, Sampson, Fannin, and stuff give them a little extra juice that. They have just enough juice on offense, and they have a top 5 defense in the NFL, maybe top 3 defense in the NFL. That's like, I know the Ravens scored 40 or whatever, but I think they had like not even 300 total yards or something like that in that game. It was just, Flacco turned it over, but it was kind of the offense hamstrung the defense. But this week, the offense just held the line. They didn't do anything crazy, but they didn't lose them the game, which enabled them to eventually win it because the defense went out and just took the Packers' soul. Like, I mean, my God. I saw, I'm not trying to slander anyone, but people that like Josh Jacobs this week. And I was just like, you are in for a rude fucking awakening against this Browns team. They are like, dude, that's Chase Brown with a healthy Joe Burrow, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs. And they just completely shut those dudes down 3 straight weeks.
Yeah, I don't want whoever's playing the Browns next week in the finals. Oh my God, it's the Lions. It's the Lions.
Oh shit.
They're in Detroit though.
That helps. So they might be able to hit some passing game stuff. But like if you're hoping for a David Montgomery spike week in the finals of the first quarter, sorry to tell you, but the old like David Montgomery, I mean, like anybody can score, I guess, a 1-yard rushing touchdown, but I think it's going to be a little bit tough on the Lions next week.
Patriots are at home against the Panthers. So
what'd you think about the Patriots game this week?
Do you want me to rant?
The Ramondre experience is certainly an interesting one as a Travion bag holder.
It's not just the Ramondre experience though. It's the Mike Vrabel experience. This is exactly why I didn't want them to bring Mike Vrabel in. I thought they should have thrown bags of money at Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
You have a young quarterback that you're trying to develop. You just drafted one of the most electric running backs in a great running back class. Your wide receivers aren't that great, so let's mask them somehow. But you bring in Mike Vrabel to be your head coach, and we bring back Josh McDaniels for the 15th time as the offensive coordinator, who doesn't have Tom Brady this time, right? And you get the Mike Vrabel bullshit, like he's Bill Belichick, where it's like, I'm going to play Ramondre because Travion messed up on one play last week, and he's a rookie, and we're going to show him. And it cost you the game. It cost you a game that you should have won This is why a Mike Vrabel team with the Patriots is never going to win a Super Bowl. It's why the offense is always going to stall out, because he's not as bad as DeMeco Ryans, which is a whole nother rant to go through at another time. But it was football team malpractice to hire Mike Vrabel. And it sucks because the fans around here all want Mike Vrabel to be the head coach because he played here. So they have like an affinity for him because he was a player. That
Good vibes. Like he's a vibe guy for sure. Like, right. He goes to bat, right. The players love him, and he's fighting guys, and he's 100%, which it's respectable. There's honor in that, but there's more to coaching than the vibe.
But your team is set up. You should have, for the first time in your entire run as a team, for Christ's sakes, hired an offensive head coach.
I know,
because they went because they go Vrabel. They had Mayo last year. They had Belichick, who was a defensive head coach. Pete Carroll's the defensive head coach. You just keep going back and back and back, and they hire defensive head coaches. And Belichick obviously worked out. He had Brady. Like it was the right coach for that time frame. But this particular team needs an offensive-minded head coach. You need to do something with Drake May. And I just worry about what this team looks like going forward. It's just, I always talk about the Naruto ankle weight scene with Rock Lee, where he's fighting Gaara, and they're like, all right, Rock Lee, take the ankle weights off, and he takes them off, and they smash to the ground, and he's just a million miles an hour around the arena. It's like, we're never going to release those ankle weights here in New England, because Mike Vrabel is both of the Mike Vrabel's one ankle weight, Josh McDaniel is the other, and you're never going to be able to break those off, and that's going to be the problem. And I think it leads to, in 2 years, the Patriots are like, well, is Drake May worth it? And he would have been if you had a Ben Johnson, or just give me somebody that's an offensive minded head coach. There's my rant.
I'm a huge, I love that rant. And it's actually segueing into one of my biggest, like, sports, like real life, like, and like fandom takes. And I'm experiencing this with the St. Louis Cardinals at the moment, baseball team, because they're bad, really bad right now. But for multiple years, they've not really realized where they are in terms of like the pecking order and stuff. Not a World Series contender, but like good enough to win like 80 games or something like that most years. And so they think that mediocrity is fine.
The worst.
But living in that mediocrity, not only does it, you're going nowhere, right? You're never going to win, but you're also then never going to get the superstar player in the draft, right? Or whatever, but you don't find out the information that you need to find out on your young players, right? That's the Drake May thing, is like, okay, this is year 2. In 2 more years, you have to decide, and these quarterbacks will always get it, and he will too. But like the 5th year option, right? You have to know in 2 years, like, is he the future or not? Because also you would probably like to extend him maybe for cheaper, rather than get into those contract negotiations at a later date, like the Brock Purdy type stuff, where you end up having to pay this guy a whole bunch of money. You would like to extend him before then. But anyway, the information that you can learn by, right, like you said, having Ben Johnson, the Bears are going to know about Caleb. I don't know that they'll like the answer, right? Because I'm certainly not sold on Caleb Williams. They may think, we got to find someone else, but you need to know about these guys. And like that's the thing that bad teams do, is that, in these mediocre ass franchises, that they just don't even find out, like, who's a part of our future? Who do we want to keep around? Is Drake May the franchise quarterback? Is Travion Henderson like the guy that we're building, right? Is he our Saquon Barkley? I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying, if you keep playing Antonio Gibson and Ramondre Stevenson over this guy, I know it's week 3, right? It's not that big of a deal, but you see it from these. Look at what Harbaugh's doing with Amari Hampton. He's just like, sink or swim, brother. And he's made mistakes. Like he went out of bounds again this week on a play that he shouldn't have, right? But it's like, the only way you learn is through playing, and the only way the team learns about the players is by watching them play. And you got to get them out there in the games and see what happens. And you got to put them in the situations to be able to judge them appropriately. And the Mike Vrabel experience just doesn't and Josh McDaniels just doesn't give you the ability to learn everything that you need to learn about, but not just May and not just Travion, about Kayshon Boutte, right? About you haven't learned about Javon Baker, gone, right? Jalen Polk, gone. You haven't learned about any of these guys. And it's like, I'm not saying that I think Baker and Polk are probably just not very good, but like, fuck, man, I don't know. You're not learning about Pop Douglas. You're definitely not learning about Stephon Diggs. Should you just cut Stephon Diggs this offseason? I don't know. He's running 50% of the routes. Yeah. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, you just lost to the Steelers. And I'm literally looking at it right now. Mac Hollins played 62% of snaps. Austin Hooper played 65% of snaps. Hunter Henry, obviously 81, and Kayshon Boutte, 76. Stephon Diggs, 53. Travion, 46. Pop Douglas, 39. Ramondre Stevenson, 36. Antonio Gibson, 26. Kyle Williams, there's another one, Kyle Williams. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. You're not even gonna know who's good on your own team. You know what I mean? That stuff is reserved for the Chiefs and the Eagles and the Bills and the Ravens, right? The Ravens can fuck around and put Tez Walker in there. Not the Patriots. You can't be fucking around like this. Yeah. Like, you got to find out.
About 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's just that this is what the bad teams do, and that's why I always, look, the Colts are body bagging me, like Daniel Jones. The thing is working out, but like I still to this day think like, well, just trade AR then, because like you don't know, they don't know. He's played like 12 NFL football games. They don't know what they have. I think he probably sucks, but like I also don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl with Daniel Jones. So this is all a cool dog and pony show, but like, congrats, you're going to make it to the first round. The Bills are going to beat the living fuck out of you in the first round, and you're not going to know anything more than you knew this year. It's like you sold some tickets.
They love hanging banners in Indianapolis, though.
Brother, the AFC, what are they? The South? AFC South fucking champs, 9-7. We fucking love it every single year, right? Lost 41-10 in the first round of the playoffs. Like, put that shit on the banner. It's just like that. That's what the bad teams do. That's what the Steelers are doing. That's what the Patriots are doing. That's what the Colts are doing. It's like just I would rather be the Panthers, than be the Colts. And
I'd rather be the Panthers than the Colts, than the Steelers, than the current Patriots. Like, and the stuff with the Patriots is the Travion Henderson stuff. Definitely cost them the Steelers game.
Definitely.
And it might have cost them that Raiders game. Like, we could say whatever we want about that game, but it definitely cost them the Steelers game. Without a question.
Almost cost him the Dolphins game. He got benched in the Dolphins game. I know Ramondre played well, but like that mindset, they almost lost to the Dolphins, dude. The Dolphins, who were all laughing and like waiting for Mike McDaniel to be fired. They almost lost at home to that, or no, on the road, but they almost lost to that Dolphins team because they're fucking around.
You know who the Dolphins play this week?
Oh God. Well, they played the Bills last week. Who did they I think I saw this actually, and it's escaping me.
They play the Jets, who are also 0-3.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
So somebody's about to be 0-4.
Please let Fields be. You want to talk about the worst vibe 2-1 team I was talking about earlier. But the worst or the best, honestly, even if the Jets lose this week to the Dolphins, the vibes feel pretty good with the Jets, which is crazy. Like, to think about the Jets with Aaron Glenn and kind of what they're doing compared to something like the Patriots, where it's like the Patriots have won a game and the Jets haven't. And I'm like, I don't know. I feel more positive about the path. The Patriots theoretically have their franchise quarterback. They've won one more game than the Jets, and the vibes around the Jets feel better.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the Mike Vrabel experience, and people are just fine with it, which drives me insane. Do we want to talk about tonight's game? And then
let's talk about tonight's game. What are you thinking? I kind of laid the framework earlier for Lamar. Zay is my favorite thing about this game. Obviously, that's beneficial to my, like, I need them but I also just straight up think that, like, this is it. Like, the Lions are a pass funnel. I feel good about that. And Derrick Henry can get home no matter what against pass funnels, fucking the Great Wall of China, whatever. He can run through it. But Zay has emerged into like true alpha territory amongst wide receivers. And if the Lions can continue to be closer to what we saw in week 2 on offense, as opposed to week 1 on offense, then the Ravens defense is not the Packers, in my opinion. We already think it's going to be like a really fun game. I think this could be like where both teams are throwing a lot more than we expect because it's a much better spot for both passing games.
Yeah, and they're playing in Baltimore though, which
is always scary for Goff. Yeah,
right. So that's why I think, like, obviously I have my biases for tonight. What I need, it's Lamar, it's Zay, it's Gibbs. But
yeah.
if you put that aside, I wouldn't be shocked if the game plan from the Lions early is to try to just get Gibbs going quickly because they know who Jared Goff is at this point. If I know who Jared Goff is, the
Dan
Lions,
Campbell does.
the
Dan
Lions
Campbell knows.
So
he
like
experienced that playoff game last year. He's experienced the bad games, but that one had to linger for a while of like, what the fuck just happened? Right? Like, can you imagine the season the Lions had, beat the shit out of the Vikings and then you run into a Dan Quinn, Cliff Kingsbury, and a rookie quarterback, and you just get pummeled. Just absolutely pummeled because bad Jared Goff showed up. So I wouldn't be shocked if bad Jared Goff showed up for sure.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm expecting. They're both 1-1. This is like actually a pretty important game for both teams. Ravens are at home.
Yeah, because the Ravens pissed away week 1.
Yeah. So I think that I actually think Andrews does get going this game. I'm not saying he's going to go put out like insanely electric numbers, but I think that he's going to be a little bit more of the focal point against this Detroit Lions defense. I think Zay is obviously the number one target for sure. But I know they're going to try to establish Derrick Henry, but I think you laid it out perfectly. I think they're just going to be like, Lamar, go win us this game. Go beat Detroit. And
he can.
And I think he will. I just don't know what
you like them tonight. I don't even know what's
it's gotta be 2.5, right? Like I don't even know it off the top of my head. It
4.
Feels like 4?
4.5. 53.5 is the total. 4.5. Ravens -4.5.
I like them at -4.5 because I think if the Ravens win, they just kick the shit out of them.
They're just like, you can't stop us,
right? I don't
think Bills. I don't think the Lions are I don't have the respect of Jared Goff. I don't respect Jared Goff enough on the road. To your exact point, like this isn't a Josh Allen scenario where they just come marching back. I think it's more like 3/4 of week 1. The Lions are hanging around, but lose by 10 or something.
Sometimes I do this, and I know this is like an oversimplification, but I think this is a good way to start when looking at teams like games. There's 4 scenarios for a football game, right? So for this one, the Ravens can win by a little. The Ravens can win by a lot. The Lions could win by a little, or the Lions could win by a lot. And I don't think that the Lions can win by a lot, right? Yeah. So you just take that scenario out. So I think the other 3 scenarios are viable. I think the Lions could edge out a win, but I think the Ravens could edge out a win, but I also think that they're just going to kick the shit out of them, right? Like I think those are the 3 outcomes. And when you can sort of get rid of one of those, it helps a ton with the sports betting stuff, because you're just like, okay, well, -4.5 feels a bit better because I just don't think Detroit's going to go out there and put and hang a 10+ point win over the Ravens by any means. So
it always feels uncomfortable to lay in between key numbers, right? 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, 6.5, 6.5. You always feel a little bit better, but like 3.5, 4.5, 5.5, you always feel like this makes me feel very uncomfortable because I need not just obviously to play well and win and cover, but it has to be by at least a touchdown, which always, like I said, just makes you feel super uncomfortable. But I still do lean towards the Ravens. Were there any? Are you playing Showdown or anything? Was there anybody? I'm kind of intrigued by old Tesla tonight. That like if the Ravens do come hang a number here on the Lions, does he get more opportunity mainly in the second half? But just overall, like we can't keep doing the Khalif Raymond thing. I'm not saying Tesla is better. I don't know. He's a rookie. We'll see. But he certainly provides a level of upside, I think, to the offense that he was a guy that I was looking at. Him and I, of course, love Zay. But you talked about Andrews. It also feels very Bateman-y that he's been lying and, hibernating for a couple of weeks, and we're going to get the 60-yard Bateman touchdown or something that just, he is who he is, but he's that kind of like showdown slate breaker that I think Tesla could be too, but we have a pretty proven track record of Bateman doing it.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to, if I played showdown tonight, which I'm not going to because I have to go to the movies tonight. That's a whole thing. I think I would be Gibbs Laporta for me on Detroit side, and then I would just play Ravens on the other side. So it might have to be Bateman. But I think like the Ravens, I think you could play a star-studded lineup tonight. I haven't even looked at salary, but you can play Tylan Wallace, right?
Yeah.
And he's got to be cheap as hell, and he's out there. He's running routes.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather play Tylan Wallace over like DeAndre Hopkins, who is just he'll dunk on me for it for sure. Right. But
famous last words, DeAndre Hopkins. I like this guy over DeAndre Hopkins. And fast forward about 4 hours, he's gonna do his old Odell impression or whatever with his insane one-handed catch that he does apparently every goddamn week.
Wallace is 3K. I'm actually shocked about that. Seems higher than what I thought he would be.
Bateman at 4,000 is kind of crazy. He's certainly
it's Bateman. But... Yeah, it's Bateman over Wallace then. Like that's easy. I thought Wallace was going to be like one of those $1,800 players or something.
Right.
Tonight.
Like Tesla's 1,200.
Oh,
and Bateman's 4,000. It really made me, dude. Tez is 2,400, which is like, I know that's cheap for showdown, but still, it's like he got the 2 touchdowns, and you're like, it's not really that cheap, right? Like 1,600 more, and I can get Rashad Bateman, who plays every snap. I got to pay 2,400 for Tez because he did that. But it was really it hurt my soul. Scrolling to the bottom, I'd like to see the minimum price guys. Is there anybody that's viable or whatever? And our boy Keaton is 300 down at the minimum price. Rasheed Ali and Charlie Kohler and Craig Reynolds are all more expensive than Keaton. Henny asks, is Keaton Mitchell active tonight? We don't have actives yet, but he has not been, and I don't really see anything changing.
No,
as it stands.
So let's end on this because we were sort of talking about this yesterday. With the running back injuries and Keaton Mitchell, I don't think they'll trade him because I think they like him.
Yeah.
But do you think there's any viable trades that teams are going to try to make? Because some of these teams, like even for players that we like Trey Benson, they gotta have somebody else because, like you said, DeMarcado ain't it. So I think Dameon Pierce is like a prime trade candidate right now.
Yep. I think it's always so tricky because clearly there are certain teams that need running backs, and there are certain teams that have guys that are talented enough that they don't need so much. Dameon Pierce and Keaton, I think, being two good examples. The problem is when you just go look back at the track, like you can go to Spotrac and filter for all the historical running back trades. It's just never what you think that it is. And even sometimes when the team it's like there's actually some big name trades that have happened, and then Cam Akers gets traded to the Vikings every year or whatever, and that's it. It's go look at the list. It's like Cam Akers trades and a bunch of stuff that you probably didn't expect. It's so tough because these teams tend to like these depth guys more than we do.
Right.
We don't like Amari DiMercado and Michael Carter, and I think Bam Knight is on the Cardinals as well. But they kept them over other guys because they like them more than we do. And then the in-season running back trades are just I'm not sure I can remember one that worked out that well.
Cam Akers, maybe.
Yeah, probably Akers. And so I think the teams are a little bit aware of that as well. So it's on one hand, I see the logic of, I think there's some pretty serious trade candidates given all the running back injuries, specifically this week in week 3. But also history, the historical logic tells us that they also don't really happen. But I think Dameon Pierce is a really good one. I don't think the Ravens would ever trade Keaton. He's not inactive because they don't like him. He's inactive just because of weird roster stuff because he doesn't play special teams.
That's why I think it's different with Dameon Pierce, though, because they were at least making him active. And now they were like, no. They were just like not doing it. So I feel like
he might get active now because Dare is like the DeMercado of the Texans. Like he kind of had this role that they trusted as a passing down guy and playing special teams, and now he's not good at that anymore either. So like, what really, what would you say you do here, Dare and DeMercado? So maybe that changes. Nick Chubb isn't exactly popping, but the Texans have so many offensive problems that I'm not sure Dameon Pierce is at the top of their list of things to try to fix them.
Well, they could trade him for like the hot dog vendor if he can at least like look like he plays left tackle at this point.
100%.
McCaffrey's an interesting one that Daily Dial brings up.
That's what I'm saying. It's like this kind of stuff might happen of like whoa, that guy got,
which is who? Kamara?
Brees?
Like, you think they're going to trade Brees though?
No, I don't. But like the right. So the Jets lose to the Dolphins this week. They're 0-3. It's going south. They know they're not going to win the Super Bowl. Right. Brees is gone after this year.
Mm-hmm.
It would be that, like Brees and like, this is not a running back, but like the David and if David and Njoku got traded, now they just won. So, maybe that changes some things, but he's also probably gone in the offseason. Some of those guys would not shock me. We'll see about the Jaguars. ETN is playing kind of well and they seem to like him a lot. And they obviously already traded Tank Bigsby. So I think that is a little bit more off the table, but I would say amongst the, like, is there a CMC level trade? I would probably put Brees as the favorite, though I don't think it's like a favorite that would actually happen. Just if it were to happen, if this low probability thing happens, I think Brees is the favorite to be the low probability option.
Yeah, Kamara was the other one I was thinking, but I'd have to.
They just
looked at his
re-signed
contract,
him.
and that was what I was going to say. I think it's like a silly contract that they probably wouldn't be able to.
I can't believe they did that, by the way.
Ramondre now, right?
That's true. Yeah, but they just tanked his value by running him out there and watching him fumble every other goddamn play. Now, what are you even going to get for him? Who wants him? He can't even. He's not good, and he can't hold on to the football. Those are like the cardinal sins. Like these boomers, like these head coaches, like fumbling is like, an unforgivable sin to football coaches.
Yeah, it's the only way that we probably actually are going to get the Henderson experience now. So thanks, Ramondre, for helping us out, I guess.
He did get some more work. It wasn't super great, but it was like not a totally terrible score from Travion this week, even though it was really inefficient. I'm not super bullish on the whole Patriots operation, but I would say overall more optimistic. Thanks to Mr. Ramondre, as you said.
Next week's the week to play Henderson.
Who do they play?
At home against Carolina.
Oh, good Lord. At home against Carolina, and everyone else kept fumbling except for him.
Yeah.
Oh,
we're
God.
Firing him up.
Perfect. We've come full circle. I said it was a great week. We had a nice Bink. And next week is going to be really bad. It's because Rob just led into it. I'm going to sucker myself into playing Travion Henderson for the third time in 4 weeks and watch him score 5.2 fantasy points as Ramondre and Antonio Gibson keep getting out there. That is exactly how I'm going to lose this week. That's it.
Same.
The Patriots.
I can't wait. I'm excited for it. It's gonna break my heart, and then we're gonna hate football for the rest of the year. And then we're going to do this all over again next year.
The Patriots are terrible. We just ranted and vented about them. And the Panthers
like,
just shut out the Atlanta Falcons and shut down Bijan. And we're like, what sounds good is a fucking Patriots running back against this team.
Not just the Patriots running back. We're going to stack Drake May with Travion Henderson. We might as well throw Hunter Henry and Kayshon Boutte and just run
chase
the
Hunter Henry big game. Play Travion Henderson. What could possibly
run it
go
back
wrong?
with Ted?
Oh gosh, they do need Christian Gonzalez back. By the way, really, really, really bad. I will just say, I know DK Metcalf scored. They're literally using him like Pop Douglas. It's insane. They've thrown the ball to him in 3 games. Twice further than 20 yards down the field. It's like they're not aware of, like, also he's really hard to miss, right? He looks like fucking Tarzan out there. He's a mutant. And like, it's like they don't see this, it's like a Shallow Hal or something like that, right? Where like the Steelers are seeing DK, I almost said Travion, are seeing DK Metcalf as something that he very much isn't. And I'm like, do you not know he's like 6'4", 240 and runs a 4.3? I'm like, throw him the ball down the field. Why are you throwing him all this short shit? It's like the Patriot, like that game was full. I'm taking crazy bill. Like I feel like I'm taking crazy bills on both sides. The Patriots, the Steelers, everybody, all sides of the operation were just bizarre in that one.
It goes to the coaching thing that we talked about. Arthur Smith tries to make his players fit his system rather than ever bending his system to fit his players. Right. And it's just like why it never fully works. It worked 1 year in Tennessee when they were like the best efficiency team of all time,
with
which was
Derrick Henry, AJ Brown, and Julio Jones or whatever. That was peak Corey Davis. That was like they had like top 5 wide receiver, the best running back in football, and like competent other players. Or I think Deion Lewis was on that team. Like they were just, it was Jonnu was on that team. Like they just had like a bunch of good players on that team. That's why it worked. Yeah.
So it's just, it was never going to happen. And then you get Aaron Rodgers, who is just Aaron Rodgers.
Yes, that's a great. Let's leave it there. And then you got any takes for tonight's game? This is. Don't listen into the Tyler Conklin take from yesterday, but the Xavier Hutchinson last week was very fun. We hit that over very, very quickly. He did only catch 2 balls, but they came early in the game, luckily. So the sweat was pretty easy last Monday night. Anything stand out to you tonight? I don't know about a stone cold lock, but anything you like?
Gibbs captain, if you're playing Showdown. I know it's not like a super hot take, but and then after talking, maybe Bateman ladders.
Well, hold on. Let me look. I want to see what that is because that's a good call. I did bet. I will say Zay. I bet Zay over 68.5, 69.5, something like that. It's up a little bit, I think, from that number. But I still, Zay is my flag plant.
Yeah,
but that one's not as fun as Xavier Hutch. Well, it's a lot more fun than Xavier Hutchinson, but it's not as grimy as Xavier Hutchinson. Receiving yards, Rashad Bateman, 35.5. So I like the ladder call there because if he goes over 35.5, it's probably on like a 60-yard catch or something like that. You catch a couple balls and you get 90 yards and we go straight to the printing press.
What's Tesla at? You like Tesla?
Yeah, Tesla is 15.5. I will also say that my good friends over at Roto Grinders Scores and Odds have him projected for 25 receiving yards, and his number is down at, depending upon your book, but about 15.5 in most places. I as we walk away here, I told you I bet Zay already. I think I'm going to ladder Bateman, Tesla, and possibly Gibbs, all receiving. So Gibbs would be included in receiving. He's at 24.5 Gibbs receiving yards.
What's his rushing yard? Sorry to keep throwing this just while you're there.
Rushing is
going to be like 69.
55.5.
Oh, ladder that.
So we like Gibbs. We like Bateman, which famous last words, and Tesla. the Lions wide receiver 4 and Rashad Bateman and Travion Henderson in week 4. This is where you get the winning advice.
You lured him in with your 50K Bink.
Exactly. Come see how smart we are. Play Travion Henderson next week. Yeah, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. But no, I'm with you on that. I like I don't hate this either. I've considered playing Charlie Kohler in Showdown tonight too. But that's gonna wrap it up for us. Enjoy Monday Night Football. I couldn't be more excited for that game. We got some fun sweats tonight in the first quarter, and this game of the week. And there's just like Lamar and Ravens games are just awesome. Lamar, Henry, these guys just do insane things every single game. I'm super excited for it. But be back on Wednesday here. I don't know when Robin will have Survivor coming out, and then we'll have week 3 breakdown, week 4 game by game, etc. But hit the like button on your way out. Obviously, do hit subscribe, not because we're touting Travion Henderson, but because you can hang out with us over the course of the entire season. We got NBA coming. I got the second quarter rankings launching tomorrow. So we talked about the first quarter here today. They also have a second quarter, and that one is a real doozy. If you enjoyed the first
hardest
quarter,
tournament ever.
good Lord, it is the hardest. It literally is the hardest tournament ever. But we'll see you guys later this week, and enjoy Monday Night Football. Cheers, guys. Peace.
Woo! Those were some spicy takes. Want to stay up to date with all of the other spicy takes we're going to have over here at Spike Week? Why don't you press that subscribe button below? If you turn notifications on, we draft a team, boom, you know about it. We have another spicy take, boom, you know about it. You can be there. You can draft with us. You want to stay up to date? That's how you do it. All right, we'll catch you later next time here at Spike Week.